Hi guys, it's Renee Dee, publisher of Iconic Life magazine, and we love to live beautifully. Today we are talking about charcuterie boards, and I don't know if you've noticed, but over the last year, Pinterest and Instagram have been loaded up with charcuterie platters, and there are literally influencers who are today now specializing in how to build a charcuterie platter. So today we're going to talk about how to actually make a charcuterie platter, and again, my theory is if I can do it, you can do it too. It's super simple. First, let's start with a little bit of history of charcuterie. So charcuterie started back in the 1500s and was a way to actually preserve meats specifically with smoke and salt, and then these meats were cured so that they would be preserved because there's no refrigeration back there, right? And then if you were looking to get your meats, you'd go to the charcuterie, which was the little meat shop, and that's where you'd actually go get all of your, salami and prosciutto and all of the cured meats that you would actually want. And so that's actually how they preserved meat back then. Today, we've got refrigeration, thank goodness, and so we don't need that, but charcuterie remains a totally hot trend. So we're gonna talk about how to get this done. So before I get started, I wanna let you know that I am at Candelaria Design Studio, and this is their beautiful test kitchen. Mark Candelaria is absolutely passionate about cooking and food, and I've got to tell you, he's got a perfectly outfitted kitchen for us here, so it's just adorable. I needed a bread knife, and of course Mark had one for me, so that's great. And right behind me also, we've got the benefit of Monogram appliances as well. So we're in a great setting, and here we go. So first, in order to make a charcuterie board, you've got to select your platter. So for me, I've got a ton of entertaining stuff at my house, and so to think, do I have a platter? I have platters. So here's my charcuterie platters, which are different from my cookie platters and my cake platters and my appetizer platters. But there's, first of all, the traditional round platter, right? A lot of people like this. I happen to really like rectangular shapes, so this wood platter over here, which is a nice rectangle, nice and heavy, is my go-to, and that's what we're gonna build on today. However, marble is beautiful for charcuterie. What's nice about it is the temperature of the marble is already kind of cold, so it just seems to keep everything just a little bit colder. So this black marble one is a favorite of mine, and then I've got this great white marble board that I use too. It's a little smaller, so this is perfect for like charcuterie for two. You want to make sure that if you're going to do a platter, you've got some cheese knives, right? You can find these almost any place, but having the right equipment makes the experience, of course, more beautiful. So let's get started. I'm going to work with this. Change up. Use my favorite charcuterie board. So you start out by prepping everything you need. I've got my meats open, I've got my cheeses unwrapped, I've got some of the condiments that are going to go on my board ready to go. I've got my nuts and olives and things ready to go. I've washed all of my ingredients, and so that's the important part about getting prepped. So by the way, so I washed my blueberries, and they're in this little strainer because you want your fruits and vegetables that you're going to put on your board to be totally dry so that they don't get your crackers soggy, so that they don't just, ooze water on your board, which doesn't look good. So everything has been washed, everything's been dried, and it's ready to go. So how you start building is you think about composition, right? And I like to really focus on having a variety of color, and then I like to have a variety of textures, and then I just sort of artfully place things on the board. If you want a cheater way to go, let's just start right here. The easiest things to do, put your grapes in the corner, voila, you are started. So this is a big piece, it's easy for people to reach. Then you want to have a variety of cheeses ready. So today we've actually got a cheddar, we've got one of my favorite soft cheeses, which is a Saint Andre. We've got a Gouda, and then we've got a beautiful blueberry chèvre that is perfect for beauty, and then it's really great to go on crackers as well. There are hundreds of cheeses out there. I encourage you to experiment and find out what cheeses you love. This Saint Andre is on my board every single time, so that's one of my favorites, but you can go crazy with it. And you can also go crazy with size. You can have huge boards, but you want to make sure that your board is user-friendly. So for me, I'm going to start with the cheddar. So when you look at this piece of cheese, it's beautiful, but you know what? It's going to look a lot better if I cut it. I'm going to turn it into a triangle because I like the shape of that a little bit better. So this looks a little bit better on my board. So now I'm just going to place it. By the way, sometimes I start moving things around. This Saint Andre is so good. You can't cut it down because people are going to eat all of this. I leave the label on at the top so people can see that it is Saint Andre. So this is ready to go. So a lot of people ask about the rind, and so I recently did a cheese tasting with the French cheese board, and the cheese sommelier was based out of New York, and he was telling me that the rind is all about personal preference. A lot of cheeses are made with the rind on and with the intention of you actually eating the rind for a more complex flavor profile. So it really depends. Some people just don't like it. It's a little bit bitter, it's a little bit chewy, so you may not like it, but it's not uncool to eat the rind. And in fact, some people might think that you're very sophisticated, that you know to actually incorporate that into the flavor profile. So I leave the rind on the cheese so that people have a choice of what they want to do. So there's that one. So now before I add more, I think I'm gonna add my, my goat cheese. And you know, this is a big piece, so we don't need all that. So I'm going to cut it on a diagonal because in my cheese world, everything looks better on a diagonal. And see, it's the same color as these grapes, so I don't want it over there. So I'm probably going to put this over here, just start rearranging. By the way, I've washed my hands about 10 times today. So, okay, so now you've got a couple things that you're starting to place. So now when we get to the Gouda, don't want any color in there, I want to make this a little bit smaller too. I like long, slender triangles of cheese. Cut this one. Now this cheese, in order to preserve it, actually has a wax on it. And so some people actually do keep the wax. I usually pull it off just because I don't want anybody to accidentally get this. So now I'm ready. So I've got this guy over here. So now I've got a couple cheeses artfully placed. Now what comes next? So now it's time to take a look at the meats. So we've got a combination today of Italian and Spanish charcuterie, so cured meats, right? So one of my favorites is the prosciutto, and it always comes with these little plastic dividers because it's so fine and it's so hard to work with, so always keep it in its dividers. And one of the things you can do with prosciutto, if it's very fine, which I like, is you can do it in just little pieces like this. Put it in like just a little, almost like a floret, because you want people to get it in one bite. The idea of a charcuterie platter is that it should be very user-friendly. Okay, so I'm gonna put 2 of these as little florets, and then those are basically right there. Now the other thing you can do with prosciutto, if it's thick enough, is you can actually roll it. And that's actually something that I like to do too. So on this one, I'm just gonna roll it. And when you're doing your board, just kind of do it how you like. But prosciutto looks good rolled too. And you can roll it around asparagus as well if that's something you want to do as well. So I'm going to put this rolled piece here. All right. So now some of the easier meats to work with are the salami and the capicola. Now always the salami, there's 2 ways you can do this. You could fold it into quarters. A lot of people like to do that. And then you start kind of arranging it like that on your tray. That. So you've got multiples here. The other thing you can do is simply just, you know, stage it like this, right? And this to me is taking up too much space. So what I might ultimately do with the salami is I'm just in the mood to roll this. I'm just gonna roll a couple pieces here. And I think that's what I'm gonna like the best on this one. But there's multiple things you can do. And again, there's no right or wrong answer on how you're going to do your tray, but just get it all set up so you've got a variety of shapes and textures. All right, so we've got some of that. So now I'm also thinking that I really love the look of these green grapes. I'm missing green on my tray, so I'm going to add some green here. And then you're gonna want some garnishes. And so because you've got crackers and because you've got bread, a lot of charcuterie trays will have a spicy mustard on there, and they'll also have a really nice fig jam. So you can put these in little containers that fit nicely on your tray. So now you've got that going. And then I'm gonna, again, continue to look for color. So I think here I'm gonna wanna add, seems like 2 strawberries need to go over here. I like a couple blueberries sprinkled in a little pile. I like them together so they look a little bit orderly. Okay, so I've got a really cute garnish idea for you. So start with a champagne glass, And you want to take your salami. You're gonna do it like this. We're about to make little salami rosettes, all right? So you put your salami in, and you're gonna fold it over the glass. So you've got these little rosette petals almost. Do one more here. Fit it down in there. Fit it over the glass. Okay, so now you kind of want to make sure that it's all nice and firm. And take your glass, turn it over, give it a little twist, and look, you've got a cute little rosette. You got your cute little rosette, and I actually really like this better than what I've rolled over here. So I'm gonna move this over. My rolled salami's gonna go, and I'm gonna use this. And here we go. Look how cute that is. Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so now we're kind of coming to the close here. Some people like to put, I often will make a cracker basket to go next to my charcuterie board. Some people like to put the crackers on the board. You've got options. You can do flavored crackers. I really like these sort of harvesty crackers that have nuts and seeds in them. Sometimes they've got cranberry and things like that. I think these are really cool. I love these fancy flavored crackers that are, they're nice and plain, this version, because it brings out the flavor of the cheese. This adds flavor to the cheese, right? So you've got those options. So what I usually do is take a couple crackers, and I like to put those on my board as well. And so those are gonna go here. Just sort of lay them out like this. And then I'm gonna take my other more plain crackers. I'm gonna scallop these out. And the blueberries are gonna come over here. And I'm gonna put these here. So you've got crackers that are very easy within reach. Okay, so the last thing that we wanna do is add our little condiments. So these are Marcona almonds, and you can just sort of sprinkle a few of these on the board in a couple places. And then a traditional thing for a charcuterie board are some little cornichons. So I could actually leave these in their cute little dish. In this scenario though, I'm actually just gonna put them on the board because I just like the idea of how the colors all interact, and you end up getting this whole sort of collage of colors. And then it's not a charcuterie board or a meat and cheese platter as far as I'm concerned without some olives. So here's a couple green olives here, got a couple over here for color. And then I like the Kalamata olives as well. And so those are gonna look really good. They're gonna look really good right over here because that's where the color that they're gonna go with. Kind of move that around a little bit. So those olives are here. And then last but not least, I love these little rosemary sprigs. They're just great for little highlights. They look good tucked underneath your prosciutto. You can put them underneath your cheese over here just to make it kind of pretty. And it's aromatic too, so you can smell it when you are approaching your board. So you just want to add a couple little colors. So really at this point, we're pretty close to complete. I could add some bread baguette. I could maybe add a few more blueberries, which I am going to do that because I see a space right here. And voila, I'm done. So what's the next thing to do here? Pour yourself a beautiful glass of wine, find a friend, find a cozy little spot, and start enjoying.